Hello,
Hello,
it's me.
it's John Howard calling for the Liberal Party.
Desperate times call for robo-calling former PMs.
Quite late? No, I'm not. No.
At-risk Liberal candidates clinging to John Howard in Melbourne today.
Right, we don't want any casualties.
After at-risk Labor candidates wheeled out a former PM of their own.
Hi, I'm Julia Gillard.
Albanese, meanwhile, was hoping some of the WA Premier's popularity would rub off on him.
He has set a bar that can't possibly be reached.
Josh Frydenberg less enthused about the prospect of Parfum le PM wafting his way.
Why is there no signage of Scott Morrison in your electorate?
There's a lot of signage of me because I'm the candidate. It's my name and my name only, representing the Liberal Party, that is on the ballot box.
The government today released its election costings, pressing Labor to do the same.
Our costings will be out on Thursday. They'll be released at the same time that the last time that there was a change of government occurred.
How can you trust an opposition that says they want to take the reins of the Australian economy when they haven't been prepared to share with you just what their policies cost?
Labor refusing to say whether its costings will be higher or lower than the government's.
Jim Chalmers and Anthony Albanese, they're trying to hide their costings, hide their spending and hide their higher taxes.
Well, this Liberal government has borrowed more, spent more and taxed more than the last Labor government, but delivered much less.
We will announce that on Thursday. There's no point announcing it now, because then I want you to be there on Thursday.
Both leaders accused of dodging questions and wrapping up early.
Thanks very much,
Leaving the press pack wanting more.
Is there a problem with transparency here, Mr Albanese? Is there a problem with transparency, Mr Albanese? And you're now just not giving them. You have to answer eventually.
Sarah Martin is The Guardian Australia's chief political correspondent. She joins us now. Sarah, it seems like our leaders are just as over this campaign as the public is. So what was with all those walk-offs today?
I think, like everyone, they're just completely over it. But unlike us and being able to escape occasionally, they were hounded by journalists on their way out. Now, with Anthony Albanese, he'd had a very sort of short press conference where he was questioned repeatedly about the timing of the party's costings and whether or not Labor's deficits would be higher than the coalition's. He ended the press conference pretty abruptly and walked off, but that didn't stop reporters sort of haranguing him on the way out. And for Scott Morrison, he was obviously campaigning in the seat of Lingiari in the Northern Territory, and he was pressed on why no one from the coalition was available to appear on the NITV election special this evening. So both different circumstances, but both on the run.
Well, you talk about, limping to the finish line, and it seems that with every campaign, of course, there can be a certain level of disengagement for the voters, but politicians love talking about costings. That's what we've seen today. But given that we're approaching $1 trillion debt, do you think that that line from either party will actually resonate or land with voters, that we should be worried about costings?
Yeah, look, it's a really good question. I think we've obviously come out of a pandemic where we've seen an enormous amount of government spending. I think federal government spending on pandemic measures is something like $314 billion. So I think voters are quite accustomed to money coming out of the government coffers. But I think obviously the government wants to make it about the vibe of the thing. They're trying to paint Labor as irresponsible economic managers, and so they'll be going as hard as they can on costings, particularly in these last few days.
Sarah, Scott Morrison still seems pretty confident despite the polls. This was the PM today.
4 days to go. The polling is not working in your favour every which way we look at it. Are the polls keeping you up at night, Prime Minister?
No.
Do you believe him?
Do you know what I do? I sort of get the feeling that Morrison sleeps very well at night. The problem for Morrison isn't the campaign. I think the problem for Morrison is the last 3 years. And obviously, I think in the campaign, he's pretty confident he's got Albanese's measure. He's relentless in this campaign. He's throwing the kitchen sink at it, even though they are behind. So I don't think that he is worried about the campaign. I think Albo probably has a few more restless nights because obviously it's his election to lose at this stage.
Saturday's the big day. We're all excited about Saturday, except turns out it's not the big day because the AEC revealed that everyone's going to have voted by then, basically. 2.5 million have cast an early vote. Another 2.5 million have requested a postal vote. Are we going to know on Saturday night what's happened?
Well, maybe not. I mean, it depends if it's a tight election or not in the end. I mean, the AEC will obviously give us an indication and, all eyes will be on Anthony Green on the ABC to see if he's prepared to call it. But, given the high number of postal votes in the event of a close election or even a few close seats that might tip the balance either way, then obviously those postal votes will be critical and they don't start counting those until Sunday. So in the event of a tight race, we could be waiting some time before knowing the result.
I think you'll find so all eyes will be on Waleed Ali for the Channel 10's election coverage,
Sorry,
to be honest.
Of course, and Waleed, yes.
Well, Sarah Martin, this is your chance to read yourself in glory, or not. 3 days out, what's going to happen?
What's going to happen, I can tell you with 100% confidence, is that a balding white man in his 50s is going to win the election.
Really? Hang on,
and you can hold me to that.
Is he going to win outright, or is he going to have to negotiate with some people that don't look like him?
I'm not going to put any more detail on it than that. But you're definitely a balding man in his 50s is going to take the prize.
Well, all right. What are the odds on that?
Sarah Martin giving her best impression of Anthony Green. Thank you so much for your time. We'll hold you to it. We'll see.
Thanks, guys.